A mother is your first friend, your best friend, your forever friend. And of all the gifts life has to offer, a loving mother is the greatest of them all. There are not enough words that can describe just how important a mother is to a child and what a powerful influence she is throughout their lives. Ina Stewart was all the above, and I know this because her daughters told me so. In remembrance of Ina's Christian background, and when she attended Church of Scotland and the Salvation Army, Abide With Me will now play. The words are in the order of service. You don't have to stand, you can remain seated. Good afternoon, and on behalf of Peter, welcome to McLaren Service Room and to the celebration of his beloved wife Ina's life. Here supporting him and saying their own goodbyes are daughters Karen and Susan with their husbands David and Rennie, and Ina's sister Elizabeth and cousin Jean, whom she was very close to. Good afternoon also to those family and friends viewing online today. I'm Mary, and I've been given the greatest of privileges of sharing a glimpse of Ina's 81 years through stories kindly given to me by the family. Our song to start this celebration was a track by Brian Eno called An Ending, Ascending. Music that creates a dreamlike spiritual beauty and a sense of timeliness. The girls felt this was a beautiful way to lovingly introduce the celebration of their mum's life. Saying goodbye to your loved one is never easy, and even more so when it's your parent and wife. People may say your loved one has lived a long life, which may be true, but age means nothing in grief. Practicality tells us that we cannot be with one another forever, but that doesn't stop you wishing you will be. Today, we try to ease the heartache just a little by celebrating all that was good about Ina's life, and there was a great deal good. And that's before we say our final goodbye. A woman who was instrumental, even in a small way, in bringing a smile to many people's faces throughout her life. I spoke with Karen and Susan just last week. When I entered the family home, it was easy to see just how much Ina was loved due to the great display of cards. A symbol of support, affection and friendship. The girls spoke about a woman who as a child was quiet, shy and was always beautifully dressed, looking like something out of a bandbox. Loved to have fun, was a great friend to many, charitable, and had a saying for everything. She was a loving wife and the best mum. These are a few of the things you will hear me talk about during the service. But before I do that, although today is all about sharing memories for you to celebrate Ina's life and her achievements, let me first share the story of why we're all here today, the family's loss, and what everyone here can do to support them. Ina suffered from COPD, which was medically controlled. In April of this year, Ina's health deteriorated. She was medicated as she contracted infection in both lungs. Ina was admitted into Monklands Hospital on the 17th of April and was an inpatient for 4 weeks. If anything, Ina became more poorly, and the prognosis given was that the family would lose her within days. The family decided that she would be brought home to be cared for by the girls. Once home, Ina thrived, and her quality of life seemed so much better. She was caught sweeping up and doing little chores. The disco tunes would be put on, and there was Ina dancing in her bed when she was being washed. This routine continued for about 9 weeks. Throughout this time, Ina never complained, remained strong and accepting of her illness. On the 10th week, her strength faltered and the girls' care stepped up. They both nursed their mum, and with professional assistance and sadly with her family around her, Ina left this earth peacefully on Tuesday the 30th of July. Although heartbroken, Peter and the girls are comforted that she was at home, where they had precious 11 weeks with her, keeping her comfortable and sharing how much they loved her. This is where you, as family and friends, are needed the most. They will require the love and support from all those around them to get through this challenging time. Today is where you start that support, and what better way than by celebrating everything that was good and happy about Ina's life. Our story starts with the beautiful order of service. You received it as you came in. This is given as a keepsake by the family. A booklet of memories shown through photographs and songs with meanings that will be played throughout. There are 2 photographs. The first was taken 3 years ago during COVID, when Ina and Peter celebrated their 57th wedding anniversary at home. The other on the back was an incredible 60 years ago, when not only Ina was a very youthful 21 on that day, but she was also on her honeymoon in the Isle of Man after marrying Peter. There will also be a photo tribute played during Reflection, where there will be many more memories for you to see. Our song at Reflection will be the diva who is Diana Ross, singing Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Ina loved Diana Ross and even got to see her in the hydro. For taking Ina on her final journey to Bothwell Hall Cemetery, The Songbird by Eva Cassidy will play. The soulful interpretation of a song about love, comfort and promise. The love for Ina, the comfort that no matter what, she will remain in Peter and the girls' hearts, and the promise from Ina that she will never leave them. If ever you're missing Ina, let the booklet ease your pain by looking at that smiling face in her photographs and remembering her music. Ina was born in St Pancras, London, on Tuesday the 22nd of June 1943. She was a war baby, living in the heart of the city with her mum Greta. Greta was on her own and found it particularly hard to work and look after Ina. After trying out a childminder, Greta discovered Ina wasn't being cared for properly and almost went blind. She had no other option than to bring Ina back to Scotland to her dad, Malcolm. He was a widower, and both him and Greta's brothers and sisters were looked after by his grandmother. Ina was then looked after by her also. Susan remembered her mum talk about her being young and jumping on the bed of her Aunt Kate and husband William. When they got their own home, they then officially adopted Ina. Her mum Greta was always in her life, visiting a few times a year and buying her some beautiful clothes from London and Easter eggs that were beautifully painted boxes. Ina always called Greta Mum, and her adopted parents, Aunt Kate and Uncle William. As a child, Aunt Kate always had Ina beautifully dressed in her best clothes, only been worn on a Sunday to church or on special occasions. Kate and William would take Ina on lots of holidays and trips to the seaside, and Kate's brother Andrew would take her on long walks to the Clyde Valley. He'd break a branch for each of them for walking, pack a lunch, and they would walk for miles. Ina never knew her dad and was always afraid to ask too much. His name was Errol Santos, and he was Portuguese. He was an American gunnery sergeant stationed here during the war. His mother emigrated from Ilha de Flores in Portugal when he was 4 and his sister was 2. He never knew Ina existed because on his first deployment, the B-17 bomber that he was in was involved in a mid-air collision. He was one of 3 survivors, but when he landed in France, he was captured and taken to a POW camp, Stalag 17B, where he was held for 3 years. When the war ended, he was sent back to America, never knowing he was a father. Errol married and had a stepson and a son, Ina's half-brother. Ina's half-brother died before she got to know the story. Susan was the person who, through research and finding Errol's stepson, managed to give Ina the closure she needed in her life. By seeing photos of her dad and hearing his life story and finding out where she got her exotic looks from. Ina grew up in Wishaw She loved telling stories about going to Meg's sweet shop for licorice and playing with her friends. One of them, Janice, emigrated to Australia, and they stayed in touch all those years, sending letters and photos of their family. She was a big sister to Elizabeth, who was born when Ina was around 10. She went to Wishaw Central School, which she wasn't a fan of. She was shy and scared of the teachers. She left school at 15 and had a job one day after leaving. She worked in Templeton's grocers in Wishaw. She liked her colleagues, and the people in charge were lovely. After a year, she was moved to the Motherhood store, and she met her new best friend, Edna Martin. Ina and Edna were close friends right up until Edna's death. She and her husband, Bobby, were called Aunt and Uncle by the girls, and the family, Stuart, Scott and Michelle, were considered cousins. Mum and Edna's friendship brought two families together. When Ina and Edna worked in Templeton's, Edna's friend, Peter Stewart, would pass the window and wave to her. Edna would say to Ina, "There's Peter Stewart. He's a nice guy." Ina, of course, would blush and go all shy. Peter eventually came into the shop and asked Ina out. On their second date, he took her to his family's home. He had 10 brothers and sisters, and they were all at home that night with his parents. God love her. Poor Ina was terrified. The poor soul was only 16 and painfully shy, but she needn't have been, because as a big family, they knew how to make people welcome. Ina soon became part of the family and had close friendships with two of Peter's sisters, Eileen and Sadie. Ina and Peter dated for 4 years and were married on Saturday, the 20th of June 1964, in Chalmers Church in Wishaw, and had their wedding photos taken in the gardens of Bernardo's in Wishaw. Number 1 in the charts that day was "You're My World" by Cilla Black, a very appropriate song. Their honeymoon was on the Isle of Man, apparently the only holiday Peter has ever booked. Now that came from his daughters. They flew over in a tiny plane, and Ina celebrated her 21st birthday there. Their first home was a room and kitchen on Robert Street in Wishaw. They loved it and were very happy. Peter worked in the Clydesdale Steelworks. A few years later, they moved to Coltness into a bigger flat, and in December 1967, their first daughter, Karen, was born. They could not have been any happier. That was until 7 years later, in 1975, when their daughter Susan, named by her big sister, completed the Stewart family and Peter and Ina's happiness. Ina was a stay-at-home mum. She did do a part-time job at Ross's Food until she injured herself and couldn't return. About a year and a half later, the family made a further move to Bells Hill, to a house with a front and back door. The Stewarts had such lovely neighbours all around them and had lots of happy times over the years. The girls said Ina was a great mum. Susan remembered her mum told her that she would worry about them when they went to school because she loved them so much. She would go up to the primary school when Susan was there and look through the fence to make sure Susan was happy and not in her own. And Susan also clearly remembered when she would be going on a school trip, Ina would be there to wave her off and would be crying. I asked which parent was the disciplinarian, and Susan said none of them. Karen was the model child, and even though Susan was a little trickier, Mum and Dad felt no need to punish her. Ina and Peter would have family parties in the 80s, and the girls would have cousins staying over with them. Cousin Lorraine, who lives in Australia now, said she loved coming to stay because Ina and Peter would give them their dinner and their supper, and would let them slide down the stairs in pillow slips and have fun. Cousin Elaine still to this day talks about how Ina got her ears pierced for her. She was desperate to have this done, and it was Auntie Ina to the rescue. The family went to Morecambe regularly on holiday, and Mum and Dad would spend their whole holiday taking Susan to the fun fair, watching her having fun. Susan apologised when she was an adult, as they were the ones who probably needed the holiday, but they spent it selflessly watching her having fun. They also went to Scarborough with aunts, uncles and cousins. The family time was fabulous. When young Susan had kidney issues, her mum and dad were her heroes during this difficult time. Mum fought for her to have the right diagnosis because, being that lioness, she knew her little cub was ill. She passed her strength to Susan to get her through this tough time, and Dad, well, he supported them both. There wasn't a great deal of money at home, but there was always so much love. Mum and Dad would go without to give the girls what they needed. At Christmas, the floor was always covered in presents. The two girls were very different when it came to achievements, one being quiet and the other being a bit of a rebel. I'll let you decide which one was which. But Ina made no difference between them both. She accepted them both for who they were and was equally as proud of them both. Karen was academic, but Susan was never a lover of school. She remembered her first day at school when she asked her mum how long she would have to go for. Ina just laughed and didn't have the heart to tell her for quite a long time. Ina was adventurous and went to Spain in the 80s with her mum. She did holidays abroad with the family to Spain, Holland and Belgium, and with Karen, where they took many photographs, some where they both looked so alike. Ina and Peter also did holidays with friends and on their own. They had wonderful cruises together, taking in Montenegro, Monte Carlo, Greece, Italy, and lots of other lovely places. Karen, who shared Ina's adventurous spirit, took her mum and dad to Amsterdam and Krakow to see Auschwitz. These are all wonderful memories of wonderful times. Ina loved to read, enjoyed the bingo and the thrill of winning. She had a sweet tooth and enjoyed chocolate. She loved clothes, shopping and having her hair done. She loved chatting and was very social. She would chat with strangers, friends and family. Even the taxi drivers knew her and would ask about her if they hadn't seen her for a while. She was superstitious and used all the little sayings like not picking your glove up if you dropped it, or if you had put your jumper on inside out, it was bad luck to change it if it was after 10 a.m. Her birth mum moved back to Scotland in the 80s, and when she became unwell, Ina brought her to the family home and cared for her. She sat for 12 weeks at her hospital bed after she had a stroke, remaining there until she died. Ina and Peter bought their first house in Churchview Gardens in Bells Hill. They lived there for 35 years and made friends with neighbours like Eileen, Alan, Alexandra and her children, whom Ina and Peter did the babysitting for. Their last house they moved to was Thorncliffe Place, where Peter is still living today. Peter took bowel cancer 15 years ago. Ina cared for him and nursed him back to health. She was always more worried about Peter and the girls' health than her own. Ina and Peter were a team all their married life. A couple who celebrated their diamond wedding anniversary this year, an incredible 60 years of togetherness. The couple dedicated their lives to one another and to their girls. They were never afraid to show their love and their affection for one another, and their family life was filled with love and happiness. They set a fitting example to the girls of the importance of commitment, compromise, trust and loyalty. And they lived out their marriage vows as they said they would. Their girls are now in loving relationships themselves, and their husbands, David and Rennie, hold both Ina and Peter in high esteem. Around 1991, Ina worked with Safeway. Again, being that chatty person, she got to know her colleagues well, loved the chat at work and enjoyed works nights out. Ina made friends no matter where she was, and through time joined the ever-growing social media page, Facebook. She loved being part of the social media family, enjoyed catch-up with friends she didn't see often, and commenting on pictures uploaded. Since she has died, Facebook has been full of beautiful comments about her, like, "Our hearts are broken in two. Aunt Ina, your love for Uncle Peter, Karen, Susan and all your family was second to none. It was an honour to call you aunt, and you were like a sister to my mum." Ina was one of a kind. Not only was she a relative, but she was also a good friend. Your mum was such a beautiful, loving and caring woman. Ina was a lovely lady, had many a night out with her, back in the good old Safeway days. Too many memories of Aunt Ina, lots of laughs growing up. She used to send me to the shops for 10 Kensington's tipped fags and would let me look through the coupon catalogue. I don't even think I could write joined up at the time. So sad, I loved her so much. Growing up, she always made my heart full with how kind and warm she was. There are so many of these beautiful comments straight from people's hearts about an incredible woman whose love touched everyone. Ina was an ordinary woman from humble beginnings, but her achievements in life were great. When we talk about achievements, everyone automatically turns to the thought of being a scholar or being a great business person, which brings with it the trappings of wealth. But the greatest achievements are found in the simplest lives. Giving love, happiness, comfort, and being charitable. Raising a family. To be good, wholesome people. Supporting in the hardest of times and looking for nothing in return. Ina Stewart was one of those achievers who loved her family and her friends. She was a vibrant, selfless, charitable woman, and life will be quieter without her energy and her goodness. The love Peter, Karen and Susan shared with Ina is eternal and unending, and they know she's still with them. She knows you will manage in life, continue to love and being good people, because she taught you how to. That baton, well, that's now been passed on to you for you to continue where she's left off. So much to think about after Ina's story, but it's now time for you to consider what she meant to you and what made you want to make the journey here today. You may want to think of a happy time you spent in her company. Some may want to sit in silence listening to the song and watching the photo tribute, or others may want to use this time for a silent prayer. The time belongs to you as the music and the tribute plays.
No matter how far, just call my name. I'll be there to hurry On that you can depend and never worry. No wind, no rain, no rain, no rain. Oh, winter's cold can't stop me, babe. Oh, baby, 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 if you're my gold. Oh, no wind, no wind, no rain, no rain, stop me, babe. If you're my gold. I know you must follow the sun wherever it leads. But remember, if you should fall short of your desires, remember life holds for you one guarantee. You'll always have me. And if you should miss my love one of these old days, if you should ever miss the arms that used to hold you so close, or the lips that used to touch yours so tenderly, just remember what I told you the day I set you free. There's no mountain high enough, no valley low enough, no river wide enough to keep me from you. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from you. Ain't no mountain high enough. Nothing can keep me from you. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from you. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me
We will soon take Ina to her final resting place. Before we do this, please remember that this is where timeless friendships and close family contact are needed more than ever. Where love and support will be necessary and where distances shouldn't be kept. Continue as you always have, because that show of affection and assistance will aid Peter, Karen, Susan and the family to continue their journey without Ina. I am standing upon the seashore, a ship at my side, spreads her white sails to the moving breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She's an object of beauty and strength. I stand and watch her until at length she hangs like a speck of white cloud, just where the sea and sky come to mingle with each other. Then someone at my side says, "There, she's gone." Gone where? Gone from my sight, that is all. She's just as large in mast, hull and spar as she was when she left my side. And she's just as able to bear her load of living freight to her destined port. Her diminished size is in me, not in her. And just at that moment when someone says, "There she is gone," there are other eyes watching her coming and other voices ready to take up the glad shout, "Here she comes." And that is dying. Peter and the family would like to thank everyone for attending the celebration today. Your presence has meant so much to the family and has been a great comfort to them. Thank you to family, friends and neighbours for all the kind messages of sympathy, cards and flowers, of which there have been many. Your thoughtfulness is much appreciated during this challenging time. Special thank you to the district and Macmillan nurses, with a special mention to Wendy and Joe Keaton. The family would also like to thank Alexandra for being so supportive, and Nan, Ina's friend, who called her every day. There will be a reception at the Taylor Suites in the Alona Hotel after the farewell at Bothwell Hall Cemetery, and the family invite everyone to join them for the refreshments and no doubt many more memories of Ina. A final thank you to Brian and McLaren's for the funeral arrangements and for the assistance today. Our song As Ina Leaves for her journey to Bothwell Hall Cemetery will be Songbird by Eva Cassidy. And for the woman who was superstitious and had her own sayings, I thought it appropriate to end with this. Not only was Ina born on a Tuesday, but she also died on a Tuesday. And we are saying a final goodbye to her on a Tuesday. Ina Stewart was Tuesday's child, full of grace. Thank you.
Like never before.